For the very first time this season, Khéphren Thuram will not make it in the starting 11, so who instead of the Frenchman? This is the huge big question, and actually we have an answer that comes immediately from Igor Tudor. Not publicly, but I tell you who, and I will also tell you why this person instead of Khéphren. This and much more in today's video, like for example, telling you that the away games of the latest years, well, they don't look great if you're speaking about the Bianconeri. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. I don't want to be too negative, but I'm obliged to state you the fact. So what is the agenda of today? Today at 11:15, while I'm speaking, while I'm recording, there is Villarreal that will start their training session with 15 minutes open to the journalist, and then at 12 p.m. Juventus will do exactly the same, still in Italy, still in La Continassa. Important also that the journalists will be there because they will reveal us if Bremer, if Khéphren Thuram are taking part with the training session with the team, because if not, well, them being called up to travel to Spain will be hugely, highly at risk. And then at 15 before 2 p.m. there will be the press conference of Marcelino with who? With Renato Vega, ex-Juve player, that will sit next to him, and we will replicate it later this evening at 7:15 p.m. Italian time with Igor Tudor. We don't know at the moment who will be the player chosen by Igor to speak about the game, to explain us how they see and how they prepare the game of today. If you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell me how you feel about that game against Villarreal tomorrow. If we go historically, if we go towards the stat, well, I don't feel really well. It's something that I'm already telling you before Atalanta. I'm really scared about that Atalanta, Villarreal, and Milan trio games. Atalanta didn't go as we wanted because it was a draw and not a victory. Now, Villarreal is a tough one, especially if we go back in history, as I told you, and we know that since 2022, actually it started in 2022 against Villarreal with that 1-1. Juventus won only one game away from home in Champions League. It was that remontada against Leipzig with 2 goals of Dusan Vlahovic and that winning goal of Conceição. If we go back in time since February 2022, well, that 1-1 against Villarreal that we all remember, that first goal in Champions League in his first game of Dusan Vlahovic, that 2-1 loss against Paris Saint-Germain, Maccabi Haifa on the 11th of October, unfortunately, we all remember that disaster game, like the 4-3 loss against Benfica a few weeks later on the 25th of October. And then, even if we didn't play in 2023 in Champions League, in 2024 it didn't go much better. It's true that we won against Leipzig, but after that, draw against Lille, draw against Aston Villa, draw against Bruges, and a loss, unfortunately, against PSV Eindhoven. That saw actually the Bianconeri being eliminated of the competition. Speaking about Thuram, well, now for Thuram it starts to be extremely difficult to play tomorrow. Will he be called up? The possibility is still there. Will he start the game of tomorrow? No. Juventus is hoping to have him against Milan, but they don't want to risk him tomorrow. And then we have big doubts about Bremer. Bremer that is a bit better, feeling a bit better than the French, but not at 100%. So will Tudor risk both of them? Big question. So the papers are more and more going towards and the Brazilian and Khéphren not playing or not starting tomorrow to rest them, to focus on the game of Milan, because they are not ready to play an intense game like the one of Villarreal, where Juventus is nearly obliged already to win, because after that we travel again to Spain to play against Real Madrid, and it would be a total disaster to present ourselves in the Bernabeu with only 1 point on 6. So the big question, of course, is who instead of Thuram? Looking at the 6 games that we played already this season, so 5 of Serie A, 1 of Champions League, Khéphren Thuram started every single game. And if we are going back to last season in Serie A, the 9 first games of Serie A of Tudor on the bench of the Bianconeri, 8 times on 9 it was Khéphren Thuram that started the game. The only game that he didn't put actually Khéphren Thuram, it was because he was suspended because of too many yellow cards. So only 1 time he played without Khéphren Thuram. If we go towards the last time that Tudor didn't play Kev, it was actually against Manchester City in that Club World Cup, a game that was not that much significant according to the Croatian coach, because we were already qualified, because he went with a maxi rotation. So who played against Manchester City the last time that Khéphren was not starting a game? Locatelli, Weston McKennie in that 3-4-2 2-1. What about Udinese? The game of last year, the only game without Khéphren Thuram? Well, it was a 4-2-3-1 on paper with a double midfielder made of Locatelli and Weston McKennie. So we see that the 2 times that Tudor didn't play with Khéphren Thuram because he couldn't play him against Udinese, or he didn't want to play him to rest him against Manchester City in the Club World Cup, well, twice the man that has been chosen, the player that has been chosen in that role was Weston McKennie. And that's why I can reveal today that the chances for West to start the game of tomorrow are extremely high. In a 3-4-1, also predicted by Gazzetta dello Sport, with Di Gregorio into the goal, Kalulu, Gatti and Kelly, because they already tell us Bremer will not make it from the first minute. Joao Mario on the right, Cambiaso on the left, with McKennie, Locatelli in the midfield, Conceição from the first minute next to Yildiz, and then Jonathan David up front. Jonathan David that would start tomorrow after being a bit down mentally. That's what comes from La Continasa after not playing a single minute against Atalanta, after not being a starter anymore as a number 9 in Juventus games after the 2 games of the beginning of the season, Parma and Genoa, that we all remember. So Jonathan David has big chances there. Weston McKennie, huge big chances there, like actually he was there on the field the last time that we played against Villarreal in their home in that 1-1, and also there, even if we played back then with a 3-man midfield, it was Locatelli, McKennie and Rabiot. Why? I didn't tell you why Weston McKennie and not Koopmeiners. That comes from a really decent game against Atalanta. Well, for a simple reason. We know that the game of Tudor playing with 2-man midfield is asking a lot of dynamism. Dynamism that Igor sees only in Khéphren Thuram, and that's why he's always playing with him. If he would have the possibility to choose, he would go with 2 dynamic midfielders. At the moment, he sees only Khéphren Thuram able to deliver, to give him what he's asking. We see a Khéphren that is, unfortunately, because of that dynamism that he's putting game in, game out into the game, not able to stay on his feet. We saw it in the last game, absolutely not in form. On top of that problem at the calf, well, he's looking for the one that looks like in the midfield, having the characteristic to give at least a bit of dynamism. And that player cannot be Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners Locatelli will not work. This is something that Tudor is not doing. We saw it also with the substitutions. Who is going out every single game? It's not Khéphren Thuram, it's Locatelli. For who? For Koop. Because it will be totally crazy for Tudor to play a Koopmeiners Locatelli, 2 players that are lacking that dynamism that he's asking for his game. And that's why he's probably betting everything on Weston McKennie and Locatelli for the game of tomorrow. Will he go towards a 3-5-2 with adding Koopmeiners? It could be a possibility, but at the moment I don't want to go too far. So why Jonathan David? Not because he was down and he was a bit depressed because he didn't play, but according to Tudor, it's the time to play him again in Champions League with a possibility to have a lot of open spaces. Pay attention, because Villarreal is not really playing with open spaces. So is that the best moment to play Jonathan David? Question mark. I'm asking to you to let me know. But also according to Gazzetta dello Sport, because Igor Tudor would already have a plan in mind. A plan in mind to already have 2 Juventus ready. One to play against Villarreal tomorrow, the one that I already read you, and then one that is ready to play against Milan to recuperate Bremer, to recuperate Thuram, and then playing McKennie as a right wing back, to play Jegrova instead of Conceição for the first time this season as a starter against Milan. So a lot of changes, and with Koopmeiners in the midfield instead of Locatelli. I would tell you that would be the worst thing to do. If I was Igor Tudor, and hopefully the Gazzetta dello Sport is wrong, I think this is the worst thing to do. Already thinking about 2 games in a row, playing a lineup against Villarreal, already having another lineup against Milan. You play your best against Villarreal, and then you play at that moment, understanding the consequences of physical and mental energy spent, you play your best one at that moment against Milan. Don't start to make calculation, who I play here, who I play there. We are too early in the season to start calculating. Please don't do it. Please, Tudor, don't do it. This is my advice. Why didn't I show you the first pages today? For a simple reason, because Gazzetta dello Sport is not speaking about Champions League at all. They are not speaking about Inter. They are not speaking about Atalanta. The big title goes towards Juve Milan of this weekend. Juve, sarò un diavolo. Juve will be a devil with Adrien Rabiot on the front page. I think it's a bit too early, at least for us Juventini, because we really must focus on the game of tomorrow and not the game of Sunday at the moment. And then if we're speaking about transfer, pay attention, because Damien Comolli is looking for the new Rabiot, that new Rabiot that can again once more comes from Lille. We're speaking about Ayoub Boadi, that we all remember playing against us, that really young talent that is playing more or less in that role of Adrien Rabiot. So after Weah, Thiago Jallo, after Jonathan David, Edgegrova, it could be a fifth talent that is really in the eye, in the target of Juventus. This time we speak about Ayoub Boadi, that is a really strong player. Speaking about youth, good news, we have Destiny Elimogale, and if you're watching the channel, following the channel, you already know the name, 16 years old, that is already playing under Padawin with the under 20, with the Primavera, that yesterday joined the agency of Claudio Marchisio. So Destiny under Il Principino is something that makes me extremely happy, like you see in the picture, a smiling Destiny, a smiling Claudio Marchisio, and that makes me extremely happy. Ragazzi e ragazze, if you didn't yet, please put a maximum of like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve. Ciao.